What's up?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Yesshift. I'm Steven. This is Dad. We're son and father, respectively. And yeah, I know we didn't get to the Steve Howe bit of that intro music, but we're celebrating Steve Howe's
That's
birthday.
funny. I just realized that when you said that. I
Yeah,
should have
but
started it from the middle. Oh well.
So Dad came up with this idea that Steve Howe is in his 70s, so let's focus this episode on our favorites from the 70s that Steve Howe did, and it could be in yes or his solo stuff. And folks, feel free to comment some of your favorites as well. I did see a couple comments which I'll read in a little while, but yeah, how do you want to kick this off, Dad?
Well, thanks for asking. I'd like to kick it off by saying first, there's so many obvious ones, which we won't mention yet. So I'd like to first start with the approach of some not so obvious ones that each of us are fond of and compare those and invite the audience, of course, to chime in with the same Steve Howe songs you love. I really appreciate his work on that are not as obvious as some others. Like I'll name one obvious one, like of course, Close to the Edge. There's more than a handful of those, but I'll start with one. Like one of my absolute favorite things he ever did is I'll name the album and then one particular song. His first solo album, Beginnings, is so good all around, and it's his own sound, and he's singing lead. Roger Dean did a wonderful cover, but the song Break Away From It All, I just love that song. And you know me, Steve, I don't particularly like when albums cool down at the end and end
Yeah.
with yeah, but this is the opposite. He just goes out with an explosion of guitar solos trading off, and it's just all around a really great song.
Yeah, it's cool that you start off with that one, because I was going to mention that, as much as I love, yes, music, there are times when I feel like I need to sort of break away from it, listen to other
See what you
stuff.
did there?
Yeah, break away from it all. And, the solo stuff definitely counts because
Yeah.
it's different. It's not the whole band. It can be kind of a different sound, but it still has a Steve Howe DNA in it. And yeah, break away from it all is a good one. But I think another favorite of mine from that album is Nature of the Sea. I think that's the title of it. It goes like do 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 do. Like it's got this very quirky sound, and I just love the pace of it.
Yeah. And I love his second solo album too.
Yeah, the Steve Howe album.
Yeah, and that has some great dobro guitar on it and slide guitar and stuff. I'm not refreshed on the song titles, but there's one that's very Western sounding.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if maybe that's Cactus Boogie.
It is. Yes.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, folks, what do you chime in with us? What's some not so obvious, that are easy to just answer like that? Steve Howe work from the 70s that you really dig. We'll check comments in a bit. But so now, what's one of yours besides what we already talked about?
Yeah, well, since you brought up the Steve Howe album, I wanted to highlight the opening track, Penance.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Alan is on that.
Yeah, it's such a banger of an opener,
It is.
Like it hooks people in, and the music can go through different moods, but I think if you start off with something that's really heavy hitting like that, you'll get the listeners' attention right away, and it just feels so skillful the way that song or track is played.
Yeah, absolutely. It is totally his sound from the very beginning.
Yeah. And as far as stuff he's done, and yeah, so I had an interesting thought how like,
oh yeah,
how like sometimes when I think about the the Steve Howe moments in Yes, my head sort of goes immediately to some of the gentler, more like, um, the softer, beautiful sounds as opposed to the edgier sounds that he certainly does. And I was wondering why that is. I think because when it comes to the heavier sounds, I sort of think of that as a collective band effort, whereas to me, like sometimes it feels like he stands out more on the softer bits, which you would maybe think the opposite because they're maybe quieter than the heavier parts. But I don't know. What do you think of that whole thing?
Yeah, that's fair. I I know this is not everyone's favorite album, but I quite like
Close
From
to
the
the edge.
Balcony. I like From the Balcony from Open Your Eyes.
Right. Yeah. But we're mainly
Um,
focusing on 70s here. But
oh yeah, what am I saying? Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Sorry.
because he's in his 70s. So we're,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just brain farted. I've been up since 2 for 15 hours in 10 minutes. But um I would say To Be Over is a beautiful song. And in the Full Circle tour, I think that's the one he played like by himself pretty much, I think, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, he
and that
did.
was a great rendition. So I like that song. It's a gorgeous song, and it's all him really.
Yeah, I love that one because, it starts off with the gentle notes. Of
Yeah.
later on, it gets a bit more complicated. And all the turns that takes, and it just goes through such a great flow. Like you imagine yourself on a river, basically, thanks to the
Yeah.
lyrics. And he contributed lyrics to Yes as well, so
Oh
people
yeah.
definitely should not like forget that.
Yeah, and another one I think that's in the vein that you brought up would be Alan's song "Turn of the Century."
Yeah, that's a huge one. Just
Onward's a masterpiece.
yeah, yeah, like he really sets the tone and turn of the century. Really brings you in that mode, and onward. And I guess if we could peek beyond the 70s, we especially love the intro he added in the Keys to Ascension version.
Oh
That,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's great. Yeah, and I think it's right before, like when he sort of finishes the intro. There's that weird sound, like a creak, not a water creak, but like a wooden creak. And I don't know if it's the stool he's sitting on or the string buzzing when he moved his finger. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know I know that recording so well, but I might need to
It's
listen to
so
it
it's do
again.
do 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 do. There's like this, like, what the hell is that? I never figured it out, and I never thought to ask Alan. But listen to that. I can't tell if it's a string doing something weird on the fretboard, or if he changed his position and the stool creaked. I don't know. I don't remember if he's sitting on a stool in that.
I mean, in my head, I think he's like standing in the video, but I'd have
Yeah,
to look again.
yeah. So
But
it's only the live version, of course.
right, yeah.
But yeah. So those are good. One of the We did an episode, you may recall, and it might have even been his last birthday last year. We did an episode where we focused only on songs where he played the steel guitar in the song. It
Okay.
could be a whole song or the solo. I just love his I love all his steel guitar work, but that solo in Siberian Katru, both the studio version and any live version, but that studio version, I was like, I was 10 or 11 when I heard it. And with the echo, and it's two parts played overlaid, but with the echo, and it's just so out there and wide spectrum, and just it's really enchanting. I just love that.
Yeah, it feels very, it's a very memorable set of notes. It just sticks with you, and it's no wonder that there have been Yes concerts where they choose to open with that one
Yeah.
because of how it hits that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna read a couple comments real quick from earlier.
Oh,
So
these are from like the promo posts.
yeah,
Okay.
uh, so Robin Summerstrom says all the crazy stuff in the ancient on topographic oceans,
Oh yeah.
leading to the beautiful acoustic part. Does a lamb cry out? Yeah, so all the stuff leading. I guess the beginning of the Leaves of Green section is what Robin is
Yeah, all
referring
that
to.
slide work.
Yeah,
Yeah, again, I was 10 or 11, and that I'm going to just say it. I had it turned up because that's how I
it
listened.
freaked you out.
It freaked me out. It kind of scared me. Yeah, it was sort of scary. Sort of, it's just all over the place, almost outside of the scale that everything else is in, and you get that bam bam, and the bass with the wah wah pedal or flan. It's just
Yeah,
weird, but that's a good call.
the
Yeah, and
yeah.
the Leaves of Green is beautiful. I love Don the Cap, as they refer to that section.
Oh yeah,
When
and
the
the
sun is
remembering.
rise, imagine all the glorious challenge. Just love that. I could play that over and over, just that section of that song. There's so many interesting, what I would call sub pieces all over all four sides of Tales from Topographic Oceans. There's so many different ways to break that down. And I remember being in San Diego. This is like 3 or 4 years ago. I think I was in San Diego and driving up to see you after seeing Alex, and um I put on the Remembering for the first time in a really long time, and I listened to it like 3 times in a row. It was just almost like a revisit, you know. So
Yeah, I think that one. That's one where I feel like you appreciate it more each time you listen to it, especially since it hasn't been played live as much as other Yes songs.
yeah,
Really, yeah.
yeah, even from that album. Um, what would be another like not so obvious one?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because the obvious ones, like Yours Is No Disgrace or Your Move, like those are obvious ones, but rightfully so because, he really stands out on those. Right from the first Yes album he was on, he just really put his stamp, and it was, it felt right for the Yes sound. The foundation was laid on the first couple albums, and it evolved like in a way that, like, I don't know, like it felt like some stuff carried over, but there was also some other stuff in the sound now. um and yeah, it is kind of tough thinking of like what are some more obscure ones in the 70s.
Release.
Oh yeah, like
Silent
definitely
Wings of
something from
Freedom.
Tormato. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and any other comments you want to read?
Yeah, one more here in front of me. Gilly Good News said, from the 70s, the solo in Awaken, and also mentioned one not from the 70s, saying his Telecaster work on Mirror to the Sky is bitey, aggressive, and thrillin', a master. Yeah,
Wow.
that's totally cool. Yeah, that's a good album. But yeah, what do you think of that bit of Awaken that Gilly is
Yeah,
referring
yeah,
to?
for sure. That's so there's so much it's so grandiose, the way it builds up, and it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, the way that whole
Oh, I
epic
was
builds
thinking at
up.
the end. I think Gilly's referring to
Yeah,
now I gotta go play it.
yeah, and I actually see Gilly tuning in saying, "Hi guys
Oh,
from
nice.
Oz, excited to hear Billy's solo tour." Yeah, I saw that. Apparently Billy is gonna. Uh, I guess on the cruise there was talk that like he has a solo tour coming up, so there will be more info on that sometime
Cool.
soon. But yeah, so excited about that and excited about upcoming stuff with Yes as well. But getting back to Steve Howe, I'm trying to think through. Oh, I see. Robert Nasir chiming in now.
Oh,
Although the first solo album, Beginnings, got a lot of criticism, Lost Symphony is a great track, and for those who don't care for Steve singing, there are two great instrumentals. Um, yeah, I think you and I enjoy Steve's singing.
absolutely. Not
Yeah,
just his harmonies. I do like his lead singing. I love the song on that album, Australia. Australia lies ahead. I like his voice. I
yeah,
think partly because it is different. You know, he's a tenor. He's clearly not a standout lead singer, but I like hearing it. And I think part of the reason is we're all familiar with that version of the Yes chorus, you know, like from the 70s, right?
that
So
choir.
then
Yeah,
to hear that element taken out by itself, I think is a really neat feature.
yeah, it's a way to change things up if you want to break away from it all.
There he goes again. Another one would be well, obviously the solo on yours is no disgrace, whether it's studio or live, perpetual change.
Bits of "Don't Kill the Whale" just came to mind.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's very
yeah.
punky and punchy, I guess you
And
could
I like
say.
the solo right before the outro too.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's some neat work there for sure.
yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I think Tormato is probably the most obscure out of the '70s
Yeah,
ones. Yeah, I think that's like without question. Um,
his solo on
like,
Parallels is great.
yeah, yeah, I'm trying to go through the song. Yeah.
It's great. I love that
Yeah,
song. And he plays it. It's not one that he screws around with live. It basically sounds just like the album with maybe more energy even.
yeah, and I guess Wondrous Stories is another obvious one.
Yeah,
But that's like one of your top favorites, isn't it, Dad?
it is. That's me and Enja's song. That's like our song. Yeah, it's the first song we ever danced to. You know, I'm
Yeah,
not much of a dancer. Um, so that we slow danced to that like when we first started dating, and now that's like our song. It's a beautiful song. I love that song.
yeah, I love how it gets a bit more intricate toward the end with the
Hmm.
hearing.
Oh,
And
that solo
yeah,
is beautiful. Yeah, it's very got a jazz guitar sound. I think he's either playing a 335 or a Strat maybe, but he's got that real jazz tone to that, and it's very like staccato and kind of real dancing. The notes are just dancing around. It's twinkly is the way I would describe that. It's a
yeah,
twinkly solo. It's
yeah, and
gentle, but there's some agility there. You know what I mean?
yeah, and it's fun to think about how he has these jazzy influences and that shows in his playing, but mixed in the Yes chili bucket or whatever the Yes soup. It feels like jazz isn't the first thing you would say, but prog rock like mixes stuff like jazz and rock, and
Yeah,
it's cool how it's very much part of that.
yeah, absolutely. What about? I'm thinking all the albums backwards.
Well, what's that one song that goes like do 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 do. I'll be the roundabout. What song is that?
Um, that's there's an accordion solo or something in it that
Yeah,
you know that's not a bad one. That truly like really put them on the map. You know,
yeah. Like just how it begins with a do
yeah,
do 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 do. Like it's sort of just like I don't know. It's kind of a weird intro, especially on the studio version. How the
yeah,
sound comes in like that.
yeah. Oh, what else? I don't know who wrote this particular line, but that the opening line that goes through a lot of the rest of long distance runaround, I really dig that.
Yeah.
And Bill's playing a jazz beat to, doing. Alan did it totally different, basically played it straight through, whereas Bill is playing a jazz beat, and that winding sort of scale up and down, up and down. I like that a lot. That's creative. I wish I knew who wrote that.
Yeah, and I see that Robert Nasir chiming in again saying, for Steve Howe's jazz projects, listen to the Steve Howe trio as well as the Remedy project. Very different. Yeah, I think we covered Remedy Live. I think that's the one where it has Steve, Virgil, Dylan, and maybe a couple other people
Yeah.
in concert. I think we talked about that one a
Yeah.
while back. But the Steve Howe trio, I don't think we've covered that one, so it might be something to look into in the future.
We didn't cover that? Maybe
The
not.
Yeah, like the Steve Howe trio was way later after that, I think. Yeah, but yeah, thanks for chiming in again, Robert.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
I'm curious to ask the audience, for those of you who saw Yes in the 70s, what did you see? And if you saw more than one tour, which did you like the best? I saw my first Yes concert was the first leg of the Tormato tour in the round, 1978. And then I saw, when they came back, Tour of Americas in 1979, excuse me, in the round as well. What was great about seeing those two shows, excuse me, I've been up forever, like since Steve was born, coincidentally. um, I sat in like this 8th row at the first one in 1978 at the Forum, and then I sat way up high at Long Beach Arena for the second one in 1979. Totally different perspective. And somewhere I have pictures from the 1979 show, but they're quite overexposed, but they are in color and you can tell who's who. So that was neat, seeing the two.
yeah,
They were almost the exact same tour. Like there was only like 1 to maybe 3 songs different, if that. It was basically the same tour. I mean, the biggest difference was the color of Chris's hair and Alan's drum set. Those were the two real only differences.
yeah, and you got to see them play the medley at least one of those shows, right?
The first one. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
remember if they did it at the second. I honestly just don't recall. I used to
Yeah,
be great at that, but now it just sort of escapes me.
yeah. There's great playing on that medley too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and like I said earlier, the heavier guitar moments on stuff like Close to the Edge and Gates of Delirium, like, can't be understated,
Right. I have a not so obvious one. Ready?
Yeah.
This is a forehead slapper. His work on America is great.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that even Paul Simon said what you did with that song and your guitar work and solo is just amazing. What better compliment than from the person who wrote the song originally,
Right.
But that,
Yeah.
and then the live versions later on are just outstanding.
Yeah, they really, whenever they covered, well, maybe for the most part, I don't know if there are outliers. I know that recently like a couple takes of early Yes playing Eleanor Rigby
Oh yeah.
has surfaced on YouTube, and those are kind of interesting, but they're not like, they're like a couple different takes, so they're like not final forms, I guess. But for a bunch of their covers of other songs that they've done, they really did try making them their own instead of just the same thing as the original, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. Every Little Thing. I love how they did that on the 35th anniversary tour.
Yeah. Yeah, even that was a little bit different from the Yes debut album version. Yeah.
Yeah. And folks that didn't see the very beginning of this, when you see me yawning, it's not because Steve's boring. I've been up forever. It's 5:10 p.m. where I am, and I've been up since 2 a.m. I don't know how that happens, how I'm even able to do it. And we have something else that we're doing after this. So
Yeah, and I see Robert commented again. My first 2 Yes concerts were Tormato, and Drama. I had just discovered Yes via the Going for the One album as a young teenager. Steve Howe quickly became my guitar hero.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah.
We're probably very close in age, Robert. I think I'm older than you, but because I was 15 when I saw, I was 15 and 16 for the 78 and 79 shows, respectively. So we're probably pretty close in age. And now I'm only 28. You know what's funny? Just real quick, someone introduced me today who knows I just had a birthday, and he said to this woman, and Dan just had a birthday. He's 42, and like she didn't even bat an eye, and I'm like, really? She didn't even like.
Yeah, that's
and he knew
funny.
the truth. You know, I'm a lot older than that, obviously.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens.
But I'm glad that, Steve is still very musical, very active. He's carrying that torch and just still such a phenomenal player and self-taught. That's nuts. He is self-taught. That's crazy. I didn't know that till maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I had no idea.
Yeah, was that like maybe in his autobiography that we read, or was that like in? Okay,
You're
yeah,
right.
that does sound familiar. Yeah,
That's when I found out, and I think I dropped the book. Oh no, I listened to it.
Yeah, you dropped your phone or your laptop or something.
Right, that's what it was. That it still just blows me. I mean, there's plenty of really good self-taught players, but to be such a virtuoso, and I know there's more, but like Rick went to Royal College of Music in London, and Chris grew up as a choir boy, and there's all these examples and stuff, and then Steve Howe self-taught in a tree house. Just kidding.
In a tree house.
I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, it's like designed by Roger Dean. It's got like the round interior type thing instead of a typical square tree house.
How about 5% for nothing?
Yeah. Madrigal. Like, I like how they also dug that up in the last few years, and it was like a duet between Steve and John Davison type thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Trying to think of what we might have left out. I mean, everything. And then there's the obvious ones. We might as well mention them. And You and I, Close to the Edge. Everything on Relayer, amazing magical bits.
Oh yeah, the middle part of Sound Chaser, like just off the charts.
He's playing classical guitar on a Fender Telecaster with fuzz, with distortion. Like that is just so cool. I'd like to hear him do that on a classical guitar. Actually, I don't know if he's ever performed just that, but that would be really neat.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because it is indeed a classical piece that he's playing like that. It's really neat.
Right.
Interesting how he totally adapted and changed up his sound for that album with the complete change of sound, just with the addition of Patrick. It's very quite different. The whole beginning of Relayer, when you first hear that song and you listen to that beginning, you have no idea what's coming down the road. It almost tricks you. It's just so beautiful at first, and then you're ending up in this battle scene. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in and celebrating Steve Howe's birthday with us. You can follow us at Yesshift on Facebook and YouTube. You can search us in the podcast apps, and you'll probably find us. We're pretty easy to find. And you can write to us via yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com with any feedback, topic suggestions, and what have you. I don't know. Tell us about Cruise to the Edge if you went. I see there are lots of like cool photos of them.
Send us clips if you want, and we'll put them up and tag you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that'll do it for now, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Lots coming up.
Yeah.
Take care.